Ladies and gentlemen, what liberal publications or left-leaning publications like BuzzFeed will do is that they'll publish the Steele dossier and they'll say, we're just going to publish it and let it go out there and have the people decide. It was purchased by Clinton and the DNC. They published the dossier full of lies, full of complete disinformation, and it's now discredited, and it's an example of news that is not only inaccurate, but completely fake. What they do with Biden, though, so with Trump, they publish harmful, disparaging information that is libelous. But they were able to get away from that in the court case because they said, well, it was the government was using it. So if the government wasn't using it, the people who sued that publication would have won. But the government was using that document purchased by Clinton, so they got around it. What BuzzFeed and others do when it comes to Joe Biden or Democrats is they'll cover a story, and then they won't put two and two together or ask any questions pertaining to, well, gee, do you think maybe there's some corruption linked to this seemingly benign yet interesting or intriguing news report? So today, or yesterday evening, they came out with a story. We found Joe Biden's secret Venmo. Here's why that's a privacy nightmare for everyone. Why does Biden have a Venmo? Are there campaign finance issues? Did he commit campaign finance violations? Did he get money through? It's just a money transfer app. Okay? It's a funds transfer app. Did he perhaps use the app for his campaign and didn't notify the FEC? Because that's a violation of campaign finance laws. How much money did he get through it? So I don't believe... I skimmed through the article, so I apologize. Don't quote me, but I don't believe that there's any reference to how much money he received. Furthermore, there is an email from Hunter Biden. The deal also listed 10 Jim, which was a reference almost certainly to Biden's brother, and 10 held by H, Hunter, for the big man. Okay, neither Jim or the big man was identified further. Who do you think the big man was? Could it be Biden? And so you have, and this is a New York Post article, emails reveal how Hunter Biden tried to cash in big on behalf of family. This is in New York by Emma Jo Morris and Gabrielle Fonrouge. This is October 15, 2020. This, of course, caused the New York Post's Twitter site to be suspended. Gee, what a coinkydink. What a coincidence. Had nothing to do with social media algorithms and Twitter being completely in the tank for the Democratic Party. Like all of Hollywood, like intelligence operatives, Comey, Strzok, McCabe, Clapper, who all texted their loved ones and their friends how they didn't like Trump, how they couldn't stand him, he was a menace, and they would stop him. So there are questions, so hit subscribe to this channel right now. I'm going to ask basic, simple questions. This is an interesting article from BuzzFeed. The BuzzFeed article is completely, the issue is not about why a former vice president, so why would this man, see, Trump doesn't need a funds transfer app, okay? He doesn't need a funds transfer. He's a billionaire. Trump is a billionaire, okay? He's been on the Forbes wealthiest almost every year since it started in the 80s with his father. So the man doesn't need a funds transfer, money transfer app. He doesn't need to play or sell access or give the impression that he's selling access to the United States government like the Clintons did. You can look at the great Christopher Hitchens and his analysis and evaluation of Bill and Hillary Clinton. They never saw a donor they didn't like. When you are a Democrat, whether it's Bill and Hillary Clinton or Hunter Biden or Joe Biden, you leave the White House or go into the vice presidency with no money. You come out eventually with a lot of money. You can't. That's how they find people who are traitors in government intelligence agencies. They show up with a Jaguar, Mercedes. They suddenly buy these wonderful houses, and then people who are wondering within the agency, gosh, who would this mole be? Who's the turncoat? Oh, it's the person who suddenly has all this money that doesn't make any sense because a government salary wouldn't warrant all of that. So you have speaking engagements. They're not paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for the Clintons or Biden to speak and to give their knowledge, their vast knowledge of foreign affairs. It's a networking function. That's how they make money, networking. The Clinton Foundation was a giant networking function. That's why when they raised $10 billion for the people of Haiti, only 3% of the money went to the people of Haiti, less than 3%. I interviewed a Haitian-born journalist, Daddy Cherry, in the Huffington Post. You could read my writing in The Hill, the Huffington Post, Salon, the Jerusalem Post, the Federalist, the Daily Caller, other publications. You could see my debates on hagoodman.com. Democrats don't start businesses and then generally don't start businesses and go into politics. The business is politics, just like from Tammany Hall till today. Biden had no money going into the vice presidency. He came out with $9 million. That's one estimate. How did that? All from Venmo? Or what? Speaking engagements, books? It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Where did the money come from? And then you have emails so you have a government official who was known as the poorest senator, no money. He comes out of President Obama's administration. A couple years later, has $9 million by one estimate. Okay, comes in with around less than 100,000, leaves eventually with $9 million. From what? They say from speaking engagements. Have you heard Biden speak? And then they say books. Have you read a book from Biden? What is he like? Have the new type of Harry Potter series? That's just he became a billionaire or millions from it? No. Then you find emails that correspond in Hunter Biden's laptop that he left in a drunken stupor probably that say I give 10% to the big man, and the uncle is holding the money, and it's all of this information about foreign business deals where he's trading upon his access to the company. One email it's in how can you use your influence on behalf of the company. So this is one of the articles, the original article. How can you use your influence on behalf of the company? Okay, emails reveal Biden introduced businessman to VP dad. So all of these, that's the real issue here. Advice on how you can use your influence on behalf of the company. So one email of Hunter's is literally, how can you use your influence in the U.S. government on behalf of the company? Since your father is the vice president, we have to explain everything, or now the current president. Do we have to explain everything for everybody? If this was Eric Trump or Donald Trump Jr. or Ivanka Trump or Kushner, Jared Kushner, the whole world, all of MSNBC, the left, the suspicion would be endless. So you have a billionaire in Trump who never was accused of any tax issues. Suddenly they found nothing with Trump Russia because they fabricated the whole thing, so they're going after his taxes. They're fishing for something to cover up their litany of almost certain crimes. That's how they work. That's how they do things, while enriching themselves all the way. So the question is, A, did Biden use that app, that money transfer app, to enrich himself through Hunter, or break campaign finance violations, or use the money for any other issue that wasn't that the public didn't know of. We know that Tara Reade accused him of a really horrendous criminal act that, of course, Democrats, many of whom are morally superior but always apoplectic and oftentimes hypocritical, disingenuous, believe with Kavanaugh, definitely don't believe with Biden. Democrats utilize outrage and hysteria and suffering for their own political advantage oftentimes. And when their alleged value system is leveled against them, they say, well, it's different. It's that you can't use our racket against us. And it's not a racket. The outrage and the condemnation of criminal acts should always, that's normal. But if you say that you should believe somebody without direct evidence, then believe the accusations against Biden without direct evidence. Oh, they say, well, Trump has more accusations. So within the Clintonian calculus, they circumvent responsibility for what they advocate, or they circumvent being held to the same standard they advocate, always. Anyway, give me your thoughts below. This is a hilarious story because this is part of the deception. You can actually report on Biden's secret money transfer app without ever asking serious questions. Without ever asking, did he break campaign finance laws? And did he accept money from his son using that app? Then you can say, well, there's no evidence of either. Yes, exactly. There's no evidence of Trump's tax returns being anything but pure as the driven snow. You acquired them simply to find something because you had nothing. But you won't do the same. You won't even go. This is even more shady and bizarre. Everyone has a tax return. Not everyone is a vice president with a secret money transfer app. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. Thank you.